welcome to the Successful Surf Club series, an initiative designed to share knowledge, expertise with club leaders and to drive surf clubs forward. I'm your host, Alex. Today, we welcome as our guest speaker, Glenn Gallagher, who is a past president of North Haven SLSC in South Australia. Today's episode is on Surf Lifesaving Club of the Year and the journey for the club, which was, I think, struggling with membership and an identity and a community to becoming the 2024 Club of the Year, National Club of the Year. So welcome, Glenn.
Thanks Alex. For your time. Pleased to be here.
I know that you are travelling, so I really do appreciate giving up your time while you're working and travelling overseas. Could you give us a bit of history or a little bit of an understanding of what North Haven had gone through? I mentioned that you were struggling, and if you could probably give some insights into where it was.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks very much for the question. Thanks everyone for having me on board. The journey I had with North Haven, probably like very familiar story. Started out as a Nipper's parent, which is essentially the political. I'd normally say the gateway drug to surf lifesaving, if you like.
Joining the cult, yes.
That's right. And spending each weekend waist deep in water, wondering if there's something better I could do to help support the club. So anyway, over time, the club had people had drifted away. We're making people pay for their bronze training, pay for first aid training, almost a draconian look at how the patrols were being run. Is like if you didn't do a patrol, you couldn't make it. You had to make up another 2 patrols. Now, we're in a very interesting demographic area and a lot of first responders. Myself, I've got a military background. You know, I can be away for days at a time, weeks at a time, or months at a time. And I guess that's what kind of led us to look at some flexibility around patrolling and then flexibility about our members. And we pin, the pinnacle for surf lifesaving is the bronze member. However, if you look at the number of people that wash out prior to bronze, but they might be paramedics or say or police, they can still do a valuable service to the club. So anyway, that's where we started in trying to rebuild our patrolling members.
Fantastic. And obviously for clubs, and we're talking about probably some of our regional clubs and even some of our smaller clubs in southeast Queensland, starting off with understanding your position and maybe a strategic plan, was that the impetus for where you started?
Yeah, absolutely, Alex. And look, and simple is good. Like a simple plan is good. And I'll get to the end of how many members we gained prior to winning Club of the Year. But we started with 135 members and, believe it or not, 20 patrolling members, and those 20 patrolling members were to make up 6 to 7 teams.
That's a lot.
So it was a little bit tight, and so the journey, so the simple plan was, one, grow more members for first year. Number 2, invest in our youth and our nippers as the second year in the plan, and year 3 was invest in our lifesavers and award holders. Pretty simple, right? So that made it very easy to distill for any of the committee members, any volunteers, to know what our actual priority was for that year, which was to grow membership. And in our first year, we held numerous community events. I'm talking like fire and wine nights, non-traditional surf lifesaving events, laser tag for kids and bring along a friend. We did Inclusion Day activities, celebrated New Zealand Waitangi Day, and just we harnessed the multicultural aspect of our club. Diwali, colour festivals, Ramadan. We happen to be close to some lower socioeconomic areas, so we made accessible and affordable for families that had to travel to the club. So anyway, eventually, a bit of momentum. We started to grow. We had a lot of social members that started to come to the club, and I guess for those clubs in Queensland that are fortunate to have a cafe or a functions room, that's a way to bring people to the club.
That's fantastic in terms of trying to engage with the community, and that's so we've run recently up here in Queensland to join the club campaign,
Yep.
And we're extending on that with a Join My Club campaign in certain areas moving forward.
Yep.
And that was really about saying to the members, you don't have to be a bronze, and we're finding absolutely with our numbers that 25% of the respondents that we had didn't want to get in the water, but they can be
Spot
a
on.
valuable asset to the surf club, can't they?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more, Alex. And it's almost we almost wanted to do a campaign where we wanted to say can't swim question mark we want
Yep.
you.
Yeah.
Um, yep, and and because there's some very valuable members of the community that yep not interested in the water, but you know what? They know how to run a crime scene. They know how to adjudicate a court. They know how to run a bank.
Yep.
And a bit of that professional expertise in our, I'll say, mid to mature to senior members is really
Yeah.
valuable.
Absolutely. And engagement with that younger community, I think that was great with doing something like a laser tag or something that's not core life saving, because obviously, the Nipper kids get
Yeah.
beaten up with it's Nipper Sunday or Nipper Saturday, depending on what you're doing, and you're doing the same thing
Yeah.
repetitively.
That's
Do something
yeah.
fun.
That's exactly right. And I guess it's about finding a niche. We're very lucky. What I like about South Australia is that, yeah, there's some very well-known clubs in South Australia that are well known for competing, always come
Mm.
home with lots of medals and gongs. Now, that's an eventual aim for the club, but
Yep,
yeah, we kind of, but let's not forget we're here. Life saving is there to support competing, not the other way around. So we need to make
that's
sure we
correct.
have life saving. Yeah.
There's the forefront. Did your strategic plan it sort of change or evolve during that process?
Yeah, we it did because it took us a bit longer to generate lifesavers, as
Hmm.
any of your trainers and assessors can attest
Yep,
to.
absolutely.
And let's just face it, being a volunteer is hard, and you've got to make it rewarding as well in a way that people can want to come and turn up. And not everyone's schedule will fit into what one club can do. So I guess that's the other factor. We leveraged off support from other clubs. So we stood on other clubs' shoulders to get to where we were, and we couldn't have done
Hmm.
it without them. And I definitely thanked them in my speech at the national awards, because we went 3 years without a chief instructor, pretty much. So
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah. And
so
that's we've got clubs that were in or are in the same position that you were
yeah,
in Queensland. 20 odd
yeah,
members, 100, 150
yeah,
members signed up, 20 odd patrolling
yeah.
members, and that makes a significant challenge to them to be able to, if you're on that roster, you're almost on every second weekend or every weekend,
Yes, that's
and
right.
and you're not
Yeah.
having much fun.
Yeah, that's right. I completely agree. And you know what? When getting the most patrol hours season after season was not something I aspired to. But
No, yeah. You feel worn out by the time the season ends, and if you're like my family, my daughter races IRB, so we don't have an off season.
all right, yep. I feel your pain, Alex. Yeah.
So
Yes. Yeah. That's good. So I guess yeah. I'm thinking. For Queensland clubs, it's all you really got to look at the community around you and
yep.
maybe harness your non-traditional surf life saving community events. Now, so South Australia, footy clubs, rugby clubs,
Mhm.
soccer clubs, karate clubs, retirement homes. They're the sort of places we reached out to provide a bit of a niche and by virtue just by our clubs, the surf life saving occurred Friday, Saturday, Sunday, which meant
Yeah,
that Monday to Thursday we could open up to community groups if they wanted to come and use the space.
sure. Why
And
not?
we and cost effective. And then believe it or not, the people there, oh wow, we didn't know this club was here. Oh, how do I join up? Social
What
member, you
can I
get
do?
10% off the food and beverage. They're just it might take 1 to 2 years to grow an SRC or bronzy from a social member, but not everyone has to be a bronze member straight away.
No, and investing in their journey is important. If, like you said,
Mm,
if they've got other skills, if they're a nurse but they don't like to swim, or if they're
mm,
a doctor who just wants to give up a few hours every few weeks rather than
mm.
on a full roster, then that valuable knowledge and skill is great.
Yeah, that's right. And I guess a bit of an epiphany or turning point for us was it's like we were like, why are we charging I'll say fireys and paramedics,
Yep.
50 or $100 to do a first aid course,
Yeah.
or to do their bronze, and so we waived any and all training fees for the 3 years that I was president.
Yep.
If you wanted to come join us, you just had to pay the membership fee. That was it.
Yeah. Which is fair enough. If
Yeah.
even if you're when you're trying to drive and deliver new members, and I
Mm,
suppose that helps with your member engagement and
yeah.
that diversified view of what your community is all about. I think it's
Mm,
exciting that you went and spoke to the Indian community and the Diwalis and the
mm,
Ramadans because they all have something different. And I
yeah.
know that in those cases, those communities are quite tight knit. So
Mm.
you get one or two of them across, and all of a sudden, there's 20 or 30.
Absolutely, and look, sorry, and it goes without saying, and sorry, because it's just sort of in our fabric of Tapestry our club. Our club is extremely First Nations friendly, yeah,
Yeah,
and our acknowledgement of country happens every time before nippers, every time before we do a patrol, and that was a big part as well as our yeah, bringing on board First Nation, Aboriginal, Indigenous people to our club to make sure they had a lot of cultural markers and that it was a safe, they could see it was a safe place to be.
absolutely. And having that cultural sensitivity and that safety for them, for
Mm,
the land that they've lived in for
mm,
thousands and thousands of years is critically important to what we're doing in SLSQ as well. Um,
mm.
and I suppose the exciting thing is, where is your club now?
Yeah, look, they're still going to be. They've reset and investing in nippers to grow the competitors for the future. And my plan is my goal. Sorry, it's not my plan anymore. I've stepped back. I support from the sidelines when asked. Is that myself and some of the I'll say the more mature of us are going to
Yep.
demonstrate to the youth that hey, it's like we're going to compete in Masters, or we got a goal to get to Aussies in maybe 2027. Just some of those things. So they've got gives. I mean, we need to give ourselves time to train as well. But yeah,
Yeah.
so it's going okay. So I'm pleased to still be around it.
Fantastic. And the numbers are up. So you've got
Yeah,
much better numbers.
numbers have stayed steady since yeah, numbers have stayed steady for since we had. But yeah, numbers are up. So in the 3 years, so like I said, 135 members, 20 patrollers, and then as we won Club of the Year, we were over 600 members and over 75 patrollers. So
Wow.
um,
That's
yeah,
a massive
so
change. That's
it,
exciting.
it is, and I guess I do owe it to the having the I do get that some of the clubs in Queensland are essentially shed. They don't have but we were very lucky that we had a cafe that could operate and bring people to the club on a Friday,
Mm.
Saturday, Sunday. That was a bigger testament to it. But
Yeah.
you know, but also making it a fun community space and a safe place for kids. And you know, we had some brainstorming right about how do we get our youth to stay as you all members
Yep.
would know 13 to 17 is the really big transient age when everyone yep
Yep.
so we jokingly said, oh, we've got to pay them. We went, hang
Mm.
on, hang on, we've got a cafe.
Mm.
What if we get them a job, and
Absolutely.
and
Yeah.
then sure enough, so it was a quid pro quo. We had our youth members did their first aid certificate or got their SRC, their patrolling member, but they then got their first job at the club, which was a very safe space. And yeah, quite a few of our members were neurodiverse or neurodivergent in their background.
Yep.
So
That's
it is what
fantastic.
it is. Yeah. So
No, I think it's exciting. We've done a video session with Sunana, who's our DEI manager at
yeah,
SLSQ.
yep,
So
yep,
we're deeply invested in strategies around the 5 pillars for
mm,
diversity, equity, and inclusion, which
yeah,
includes First Nations, women, um,
mm,
multicultural people,
mm,
the rainbow group,
yep,
um,
yep.
and we're just trying as best we can to try and engender with all of our members that there is a place for everybody.
Yeah,
And
you're
if you can see it,
spot on.
then you can be it. And I think that's the fantastic journey that you guys have been on.
Yeah, and I again, Alex, I think sure I did have, it was definitely not all me. I had a fantastic team around me and
Yep.
very passionate volunteers, and I definitely had a few crazy ideas, fairies that were normally from me. However, some of them got legs and became actual really cool programs that we did. So, um, I guess, and I do feel for any clubs that are struggling because you just got to try something different and take a
Yep,
risk, right? Yep.
fantastic.
Yeah.
That's a great tip. I think that journey that you guys are still on, because it's a never-ending journey. I think has been exemplary for your club at North Haven
Oh,
and
thanks,
for
Alex.
SLSA as a broader organisation to see what can be done when you think outside the square and look at your
Mm,
community and the diversity that's available there. So thanks very
thanks.
much, Glenn.
You're
Really do
welcome.
appreciate your time. It's been
Great.
invaluable. I'll let you head back to whatever you were doing.
What is it? It's nearly 9 o'clock at night here in Salt Lake City.
So
So Utah.
time to go to bed.
It's so good. Great.
Beautiful.
All right.
Thanks, Glenn. Appreciate your time.
No worries. Thanks, Alex.